using the amazing CAGED system to play a 1-4-5 progression in the key of C across the fretboard. This is very useful stuff. So we have a C major, to F major, to G major. Those same chords in position 2. Alright, now less common shapes in position 3. Position number 4. And a tight squeeze for position 5. Let's break those down. Hey everybody, welcome back to Swiftlessons for another guitar fundamentals tutorial. In today's session, we're going to be learning how to play the 1-4-5 progression in the key of C. So C major, F major, and G major up and down the fretboard using the CAGED system. This is the concept that allows us to see that our basic open position chords, these major chords C major, A major, G major, E major, and D major, spells out the word CAGED, are actually movable shapes that can be used to transpose harmonies up and down the fretboard. So this is extremely powerful for rhythm players trying to find some alternative chord voicings, but it's also very useful for lead players because visualizing these chords can also reveal some really powerful melodic possibilities. You can head over to patreon.com/swiftlessons to support the channel and also download tabs for today's lesson. And remember, if you enjoy this tutorial, be sure to subscribe. Now, let's take a closer look. Okay, a close look at the fretboard, getting started with position number 1. The C major chord, the F major chord, and the G major chord in the open position. Okay, so this is kind of square one for beginners. Most of you already know this. The C major chord in its C-shape position, also called the open position. We have 3rd fret A string, 2nd fret D string, open G, 1st fret B, and the open high E string. Okay, C major in its C-shaped position. Okay, now going on to the 4 chord, F major, played as a bar shape. Okay, now this is actually the E-shape position of the F chord. Okay, because if you think about it, we're just taking an E chord, moving it up, or transposing it by 1/2 step, changing our finger positions, so that way we can bar or move the nut up 1 fret. So this is an F major chord. Okay, so I'm barring the 1st fret. I've got 3rd fret A, 3rd fret D, 2nd fret G. Okay, again barring on the B string and the high E string. F major. Alright, then the 5 chord in position number 1, G major in its G-shape position. I've got the 3rd fret of the low E string, 2nd fret A string, open D, open G, open B, and the 3rd fret high E string. Okay, G major. Okay, so summing up position number 1, we had the C chord in the C-shaped position, we had the F chord in the E-shaped position, and we had the G chord in the G-shaped position. Now, as we move up the fretboard through these various CAGED positions, we're going to notice that each chord is moving sequentially through its own individual CAGED shapes. So for example, we're going to be moving the C chord and basically spelling out the word CAGED. C in C position, C in A position, C in G position, C in E position, and C in D position. Spells out the word CAGED. Okay, so we're going to be doing that for each of the chords in this 1-4-5 progression. Okay, so now taking a look at position number 2 now. The C chord in C position is going to move up to A position. The F chord in E position is going to move up to D position. And the G chord in G position is going to be moving up to E position. Okay, so let's take a look at that first chord, C major, played as an A shape. I'm barring the 3rd fret, A string to high E string, and I'm basically just transposing my A major chord shape up to the key of C by placing those fingers on the 5th frets of the D string, G string, and the B string. Okay, adding my bar back in. All right, I have a beautiful, lush C major harmony. Okay, now for the F major chord, we're just transposing our D major chord shape, okay, up to the key of F. So D major, E flat major, E major, F major. Okay, so I've got the D shape, first finger, 5th fret G, middle finger, 5th fret high E string, and also the 6th fret of the B string. Okay, F major. Now you could also include a lower root note by adding in the 3rd fret of the D string. But for all intents and purposes for today's lesson, making sure that we can visualize the chord shapes, we're just gonna play it as a simple D shape. Okay, so the C major chord to its 4 chord, F major. Okay, now the 5 chord, G major, played as an E shape. Okay, nothing new here. We're just barring the 3rd frets and grabbing the 5th fret A string, 5th fret D string, and the 4th fret of the G string. Strumming from E to E. Okay, a common bar chord position, or the E-shaped position of the G major chord. Okay, very good everybody. Now you have the 1-4-5 progression in the key of C in 2 different positions. C, F, and G. 2, 3, 4. C and F and G. 2, 3, 4. It's very good if you can practice these things with a little bit of rhythm. Now moving on to some more advanced shapes in position number 3. We're gonna have the C major chord in its tricky G-shaped position. Now don't worry, this is not something that's commonly played from a rhythm guitar standpoint. It's really more for visualization, because overlapping this position of the C major chord is a very common position of the C major scale, which is very, very useful. Okay, but let's learn it anyway. We're gonna have the C major chord in its G-shaped position. Now we're also going to have the F major chord, the 4 chord in the key of C, in its C-shaped position. Okay, you can kind of see the little C major chord shape, just arranging our fingers so we can transpose and bar. And we're gonna have the G major chord, the 5 chord, in its D-shaped position. Okay, so literally just taking the G major chord shape, transposing it to the key of C. Now my ring finger is on the 8th fret of the low E string, and I'm barring across the A string to the high E string on the 5th fret. Now if you can't play this chord shape, don't worry, it's not commonly played. But there is a workaround, okay, which is actually very useful. You can just take your pinky, put it on the 8th fret low E string, and then use your bar on the D string, G string, and B string 5th fret for a very nice voicing of the C major chord shape. Okay, now moving on to the 4 chord, we're taking a C shape, changing up our fingers, pinky, ring, and middle, and transposing up to the key of F. Now my pinky is on the 8th fret of the A string. I'm gonna bar the 5th fret. Okay, now the bar is gonna be covering at least between the G string, B string, and high E string. Okay, so I've got frets 8, 7, 5, 6, and 5. The F major chord in its C-shaped position. Okay, and then finally, the G major chord played as a D shape. Okay, now I've got frets 7, 8, and 7. All right, you put all those shapes together and we have C major, or you can play it like this. All right, you can play F major with the C shape and G major with the D shape. Okay, going through positions 1 through 3, we have C, F, and G. All right, position 2, C and F and G. And position number 3, C and F and G. Okay, now moving on to position number 4. Okay, so position number 4 is going to feature the C major chord in its E-shaped position, the 4 chord F major in its A-shaped position, and for the 5 chord G major, we could just take this up a whole step But in the interest of moving sequentially through the CAGED system for each chord, we're going to play the G chord in the C-shaped position. Okay, so for the C major chord, we're barring the 8th fret low E string to high E string, and we're fretting the 10th fret A, 10th fret of the D, and the 9th fret of the G string. C major, in its common bar-shaped position, also called the E-shaped position. Now the 4-chord F major, we're going to bar again, A string to high E string, and we're just setting up a little A shape, the 10th frets of the D string, G string, and the B string. It's a tight squeeze, okay, for that F major chord shape. And then finally the G major chord. All right, we're just going to take our C shape, kind of barred position. All right, so I'm barring across the 7th fret, at least the G string, B string, and high E string. I've got 10th fret A, the 9th fret D, 7th fret G, and the 8th fret B string, as well as the 7th fret of the high E string. Okay, put those chords together and we have C, F, and G. Okay, now playing through positions 1 through 4, we have C, F, G, 2, 3, 4, C, F, G, 2, 3, 4, C, F, G, 2, 3, 4, and C, F, G, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now moving on to our 5th and final position. Okay, now finishing up with our 5th and final position of the 1-4-5 progression in the key of C. Looking at that C major chord, we're finishing up spelling out the word CAGED. We played it in its C position, its A position, its G position, its E position, and now we're gonna play it in its D position. Okay, the 4-chord F major is gonna be played in its G-shaped position. And the 5-chord G major will be played in its A-shaped position. Okay, so the C major chord frets 12, 13, and 12. As I mentioned before, you can reconfigure your fingers. If you want to have a low root on the D string, 10th fret, a C note. All right, just take your G chord now, transpose it to the key of F, move it all the way up, so that way your ring finger's on the 13th fret of the low E string, and then bar across the 10th fret. Okay, for a very kind of useful position of the F chord in terms of visualization. So, again, it helps me visualize the scale and make sure I don't play any wrong notes over that chord if I'm soloing. All right, and then the 5-chord G major, all we're doing is barring across the 10th fret, A string to high E string, setting up our A shape, 12th fret D, G, and B string to create the chord G major. Okay, now as a quick tip, more often than not, I play this with a bar with my ring finger. Okay, and then I just place my index finger on the 10th fret of the A string and omit the high E string. Okay, a very simple way of playing a movable bar shape. Okay, so that sums up the 5th position. We had, again, the C major chord in D-shaped position. We had the F major chord in its G-shaped position. And we had the G major chord in its A-shaped position. Now, let's play through all 5 positions with a very slow tempo. Okay, so here's an amazing exercise for your week of practice, just playing through each of those 5 positions with that kind of La Bamba rhythm. Okay, so we have C, F, and G, 2, 3, 4, and 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 C, F, and G, 2, 3, 4. All right, friends, thanks so much for checking out this lesson on the CAGED system. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. As always, big thanks to my supporters at patreon.com/Swiftlessons. I hope you're enjoying all those extra resources. And thanks to you guys, I got many more lessons coming up, so keep checking in. Please subscribe, please share. This is Rob at Swift Guitar Lessons in Philadelphia, saying happy picking.